What's up, y'all? You're about to watch an oil change. I always start off with my fuel water separator filter, then I do the fuel filter over on the cold side of the engine, and then I bounce over and do the oil filter after draining it. So fuel water separator, fuel filter, drain it, oil filter. And I didn't film the oil filter. It's a little harder because the frame, so you can't get the wrench around it. So I'll hammer a screwdriver into it and twist it, a long screwdriver, twist it, and that'll obviously spin it off there. And then just spin the new oil filter on, and then fill it up with the new oil. Always check your dipstick. For example, this truck takes 46 quarts, so I end up putting like 11 gallons in. But whenever you're done doing an oil change, check your dipstick prior to firing it up. Always check your double check your filters and everything. But hope this video helps and teaches you something. Hey guys, doing a little preventative maintenance here. This is a Davco water fuel separator filter, FS19764 by Fleetguard. So anyway, imagine I have already taken the cap off. This is the cap that goes on it, right? And there's a little black ring I'll show you in a moment that goes. So anyway, you use this tool, get the seal off, that's threaded right here, right? Remove this, get that bad boy out the way. Be very careful because I have heard those are expensive. And then you remove the old fuel filter, fuel water separator filter. Okay, now you see that black ring right there? You want to make sure when you pull the old one off, you're taking that black rubber piece off. It pops off the bottom. The new ones come with it. This is the new one. So imagine I just took the old one off, boop, gone. Imagine I took that off. I'm not going to because I have a hand with the filter and a hand with the camera. Anyway, and then all right, so we've got that black rubber piece off, right? Because it came off with, it stayed on and the old filter came off. Now we put the new filter, which comes with one of those, you see. We put the new filter on, okay? Now I'm gonna show you the install. Now this new filter comes with some O-rings. One goes right there, this black lip right here. You guys see that, okay? At the bottom. It goes under this lip. I have seen, I'm gonna put that on, I have seen some shops put this O-ring up here for some reason. No fucking clue why. But you don't need to seal right there. You need to seal where it meets the Davco filter, right? The housing. So you put that on after you remove the old gasket, because the filters come with a new gasket. You put your ring on, right? And you can lift this up and spin this around. Oops, sorry, getting all crazy with the camera. Spin this around, make sure your seal is all on there good, right? And then drop that bad boy down. Well, actually, I'll do this even slyer. Put that down, right? Now it's made the seal, then bloop. And then you go ahead and, hang on, sorry. Start the threads, okay? Start the threads. Now this tool, right? If you want to do your own PMs, this is a very important tool you need to get. I think they're like 30 or 60 bucks, maybe even cheaper online. So you've started your threads, but see how the teeth fit around that thing, right? Okay, so you tighten that bad boy back up, blah, 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 you get it tight. Now you see this part right here, these two little hook things right there? I have an aftermarket filter, I have an aftermarket cap that goes clickety-click when it's tight enough. But the non-aftermarket, it hooks in like that and then tightens and loosens, okay? So the big portion of this does this. The small portion does this. For mine, I just use some pliers to lock in right there and then loosen and tighten it. So I've tightened this back up, and upon tightening I realized that one side of it, let's see if we can see how it says vent cap. Yes, that is the vent cap. But this is tighten all the way, right? Now I take my pliers and I let me see if I can do this one-handed. Probably not. Nope, yep, it's too hard to hang on to. So let me, okay, I cracked it loose with the pliers, cracked it loose. Spin to open, right? It says Davco right on it. You take this off. Now, I recommend when you take it off, wipe the dust off of there with a wipe. But you see that little O-ring? Go ahead and replace that. The kit comes, the filter comes with that O-ring as well as the big one I just showed you guys. Okie dokie, new O-ring is on. Put the cap on and I'll be quiet, see if we can hear the clickety click. Probably not without me giving it a good clickety click with the pliers. So let me see if I can do that real quick for you. You hear the click? Okay. The aftermarket filter, or I don't know why I keep saying aftermarket filter. This was an aftermarket cap. It costs like 30 bucks on eBay. It does the clicky click. Part number 240007, Davco, has open at the bottom. Okay, that's aftermarket. These are like $30 tools. Is how I do it. All right, so fuel water separator filter on. Next, we're gonna do the fuel filter. All right, for the oil filter, you are gonna need an oil filter wrench. Whoop. It's this rubber belt looking thing that goes, I'm gonna demonstrate it on this. So it goes around the filter, right? And then it catches it, and then you spin it, okay? Because the teeth here, see the teeth? Yeah. So anyway, they grab, and this bad boy's gotten used, definitely. So I'm gonna spin that off. I definitely can't do that one-handed in film. So gonna spin that bad boy off. They are full of fuel, diesel fuel. So definitely makes a little mess. Once I get it off, I typically try and put a cup underneath and pour the excess diesel into a cup, and then dispose of the diesel that I pour out of it. So part number FF5825NN. Obviously FF for fuel filter and FS for fuel separator. So fuel water separator, fuel separator though. Ya boy. All right, brand new filter. Okay, I was holding that with my mouth. So when you get a new fuel filter, FF5825NN for it says pre-fill with cap in place, remove cap before install. You really don't need to listen to that. I remove it and I don't even pre-fill it. You know what I do? I put it on dry and then I prime my truck 3 times, and that fills this and it fills that Davco fuel water separator filter, and it fires right up every single time. Just prime your truck 3 times, vroom, right away, okay? Every time. Also, yeah, see, I made a little spilly spill. It's a bitch getting it out of there. Also, when you are putting the filter in and out, I can't do it one-handed, but I move this air compressor line out of the way, wiggle it down in that gap right there, and then lift it up and put it on. Also, it is way easier taking these fuel filters off than it is putting them on. I don't know what the heck the problem is, but I mean, it'll probably take you about 3 to 5 minutes spinning this to try and grab that first thread. They are a pain in the ass to put back on. I'll tell you a story about getting my oil changed next video. So I told you I'd tell you a story about my last oil change. Prior to doing it myself, my last oil change was at the TA in Troutdale, Oregon. Went in super late at night, like 9 p.m. I was the last one that they were doing that day. And the guys were all tired, so I went in and bought them a couple Gatorades or whatever, and was bullshitting with them while they both knocked out the oil change together. Super cool young guys, knew what they were doing and everything, were really cool to talk to. As we're sitting there talking, he's spinning on the fuel filter, and no joke, first time I've ever seen it, he held it right up and spun it, and it went right on. And I forget what his buddy's name who was down in the pit, but he was like, yo, first spin on the oil filter. And he was like, what? No way. So it was like the first time they've ever grabbed one and spun it right on. But I was like, damn, yeah, that's impressive, because it's a bitch. So yeah, fuel filters are hard to spin back on. Oil filter spins right on, no problem. Obviously fuel water separator filter, super easy to put on. But yeah, that small little story. Okay, that's the new filter on there. Snug it between here, right? Move this out of the way, snuck it down here, and then lifted it up onto the housing. So it's gonna be hard to demonstrate, but what I do, this actually, it didn't take me that long, probably about a minute of trying to get it spun on there, and then it grabbed the threads, and I get it threaded on there, right? And you'll feel the threads when you're spinning it on. It gets a little, obviously more firm because it's grabbing threads. So here's the deal. What I recommend, put your hand below it and spin it backwards, okay? Backwards. Spin it backwards with your hand holding it up underneath it. Spin it backwards a little bit until you feel where the thread would begin. It'll go like click, right? Not like a click, but it makes a little like noise. You'll tell. Stop there and then start spinning it forward to see if it will grab that thread right away. Do that a couple times and it gets firm once it grabs those threads. So anyway, it's grabbed the threads. It's a lot easier to spin two-handed. So here's an example. Okay, I spin it, spin it, spin it, okay. And then see these markings? Once it gets kind of hand tight and you can't really hand spin it anymore, that's when you would slap this bad boy around it, spin it on. So if you stop, if your hand's spinning it on, it gets firm, and it stops at C, then you add 3/4 turn to D. Okay, so it's got the examples on there. All makes sense. Good. But listen, I don't pre-fill these. Just prime your truck 3 times. I'll show you an example, and it'll fire up right away.
All right, draining the oil is simple. Obviously, have something to catch it, but you use a 3/4 inch. No, that's a 1/2 inch socket, and on these isx's, that's the drain plug right there, okay? So it's kind of hard with me angled. I'm not gonna film me draining it, but you put the socket in, break it loose, spin that bad boy off, let it drain the oil, okay? And then when you're done, after it's drained, you do the oil filter, which I'll show you.
Also, we got our fuel filter fully on. It stopped at B, and quarter spun around to A? No, stopped at C? No, stopped at B, definitely. Okay, so I'm not doing a regular oil change. That's why I'm not really filming the, let me clean off the schmegma. That's why I'm not really filming the draining part. But if you were observant when I was changing the fuel filter, you might have noticed that my crossover tube was gone. Which I'll go over the parts of the motor. Actually, I'll put that in the beginning of the video. Anyway, I opened up the valve cover, right? Took the valve cover off here. And I lost my Jake brakes the other day. I didn't lose them fully, but I definitely lost a lot of back pressure. And I was able to actuate the Jake brakes low, medium, high, 3 stages, and I could tell the turbo was working because the VGT, variable geometry turbo, opens and closes to allow more or less back pressure. It's a big turbo that can act like a little turbo or a big turbo. Well, anyway, if we zoom in here, do you guys see all that black schmegma? The dipping that in the oil, don't want to. There's like little black debris. Okay, you guys see the black debris? It kind of looks like chewed up. Sorry, the camera's getting all crazy. Just like little chewed up shit, right? Top of these springs here. Okay, so where do I begin? Back there is the camshaft. Okay, it's hard to see. It spins and it moves this roller rocker assembly. Okay, and these open valves, which are on the bottom end of these springs in the motor. There's exhaust valves and intake valves, and this is where your injectors go. You have 6 of them, right? Well, these little guys, I lost my Jake brakes. A lot of power to my Jake brakes. Oil goes up through certain ports through this roller rocker valve train holding bar. There's 2 bars here. It's hard to tell because it's all together, but when you pull it apart, this bolt and this bolt and these bolts will raise this whole assembly out, and it takes these parts and these little, let's see if I can find the loose one, who's that, right? So these move up and down to open the valves. Anyway, I'm doing a horrible job explaining this because it's really not my expertise of explaining. But oil shoots up pressurized through here, and these two, that one and that one, control opening and closing of your Jake brakes on cylinders 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, and then the rest of the work comes from your turbo closing and opening the VGT. So there's a little bolt that goes there. Yay, little bolts. Okay, so I thought to myself, I'm not getting my cylinder, so I'm gonna pull this up. Come on, baby. One-handed, left hand, come on. Hey, okay, got it out. Now on the bottom of this, there's a screen. You guys see that shit kind of blocking the screen? I need to clean that off because that was not allowing enough oil pressure on each of these to open up and close my, there wasn't enough oil pressure going through the rail, passing through that to say, hey, open up cylinders 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 on the Jake brake. So both of those got clogged. So in Nevada, I opened it up, scraped them off, slapped it all back together, cleaned up as much of this smegma shit with a paper towel as I could, got on down the road, and it fixed my Jake brake problem. So I'm gonna clean those screens off, clean the rest of this stuff out. I'm gonna pour a little diesel fuel in it, then drain that with the oil, run some more oil through the top end, drain it, and then finish my oil change. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully, if you understand, that screen being blocked and not enough oil pressure is why I lost my Jake brakes on the cylinder side. I still had the turbo side, so it was like an exhaust brake, but it's because all this little black plastic shit, whatever the fuck got in my engine, blocked those filters at the bottom. So that really sucked, but we're handling it. You gotta handle shit. It's okay. Still up and trucking. Fuel filter grabs all this schmegma shit. Hopefully I'll run it out at the bottom with the oil change. So this is your top end of your motor without the valve cover on it. All right, y'all, priming it right now for the first time. It is 6:38. Each prime takes about a minute, so I'll prime it 3 times and then fire it up at about 6:42. Also, you'll see the check engine light on. I have a code for crankcase pressure. It comes and goes as it pleases. I don't know why, but it does. And I need to get that filter off there and clean it out. But anyway, priming right now. Come back to you after all 3 primes. So you guys see the fluid level right there? Just off 1 prime that's already filled. That's pretty damn good. And you might, I don't know if you guys can hear that buzzing down there. That is the high pressure pump. That is, or the pickup pump. I don't know. People call it different shit. It's like the low high pressure pump. Anyway, it picks up the fuel and brings it to the filters. Look at that, 2nd prime, and we're getting that full. That's good. Once I fire it up, she will roar. And then you always want to check your filters. So right now it's doing its 2nd prime, key on, priming the fuel. Just clicked it over for the 3rd prime, but actually I'm gonna be taking the this sensor off. It is the crankcase pressure sensor. I'm just gonna be blowing it out. If I have any brake parts cleaner, I'll pull it out and blow it off real quick. The crankcase pressure sensor back on and plugged in. Let's go ahead and prime it again and fire it up. Okay, just turn the key back to the off position. It is 6:48. Now on this one, we turn the key on. So I guess this is the 4th prime officially. And then I fire it up. So I prime it individually 3 times. 4th time I turn that key over, I turn it on. And after you fire it up, definitely shake the stick, make sure she's in neutral. And let me step up here. Ka-chow, ka-chow. All right, see coolant temp, oil temp, it's all down. Our air is drained. Ready? She's gonna fire right up at didn't even fill the oil filter or the fuel filter. Told you guys. That's how you do an oil change. You don't have to waste time filling the fuel filter.
Good oil pressure. Obviously coolant, it's dead cold. Oil temp. Axle. Oil temp. So yeah, that building air, okay? That was from a dead stop, dead engine, you know, after the oil change. So now go out and check your filters, make sure nothing's leaking. Sorry about the noise, but check your filters, make sure they're not leaking. Also the drain, there's a knob right here. Before you change that filter, drain it. But no leaks, looking good. Holding fluid. No leaks on the fuel filter. Oil filter, looking good. Oil filter's looking good. The turbo's still rocking. PDI manifold's looking good. Also, I didn't change it with my oil filter, but there's a coolant filter. That's the coolant filter, because that's the water pump. Coolant filter right behind it.